segue into our next topic. I think the biggest selling point with this squad is that the majority of this team is actually, looks to be coming back. I think as Sean Miller referred to it, he calls it the lion's share of this year's team. He says that the majority of them are probably going to be coming back this season. I know both Miller and Ira Lee himself confirmed after Monday's game that, after that Oregon game, that Ira Lee, along with Matt Wayne, will be graduating and not returning to this team. But, I think that the NCAA eligibility rules allow for that to come back. But I think, with just, the log jam that this season and last season kind of created and, the number of scholarships, it was kind of inevitable to see some of these guys not come back. But I think the only other senior on this team is Terrell Brown, who I don't think he's made a decision yet on whether or not he's going to come back. So he's still up in the air. But as for everyone else, it sounds like this squad is going to be mostly intact heading into next season. And they actually I have a chance to return all 5 of its starters, which I don't think is ever happened in Arizona's recent memory. I know Sean Miller is also bringing in 3 new recruits who we've mentioned on a show briefly before. But I think that they're going to complement this team really nicely. I mean, what do you think of this team, and how do you think this team will shape out next year?
Yeah, and I'll start off with Ira Lee. I mean, I think that's best for everybody. I mean, as I've been saying for weeks, he's got a few minutes here and there, but they haven't helped anyone or anything really. So it's best that he moves on. And I think the same thing with Terrell Brown. I don't think Terrell, as I said on our podcast a few days ago, I think the main group of these players will be back, and I think Terrell Brown won't be back. I think I said multiple times I would rather see the young players, play. And I'm going to go as far as to say it. I don't even think Terrell Brown should have came to Arizona. I don't think Sean Miller should have brought him in because he took away minutes from young players like Dalen Terry and other guys that they want to get minutes and see if they really can play and develop here. I mean, what's the point of bringing in a fifth-year senior for a team that's not going to the playoffs and not competing for anything? And you really, supposedly Sean Miller wants to focus on the development of his young talent, which I don't think he does, is number one. So it's just contradicting itself. It doesn't really make sense to me.
I mean, I think Terrell Brown was really valuable this season. I think he brings on a lot of leadership and a lot of consistency to the squad, to this young squad, right? You said, why bring a fifth-year senior when all these freshmen are here? That's exactly why you bring in a fifth-year senior, is so that you can kind of groom these freshmen and kind of, mature them into their roles. But I actually kind of agree with you. I don't know where Terrell Brown kind of fits into next year's squad. Like I said, he's a great leader. I think he was very important this year. He was even more important once Jamal Baker was out for the season. But you look at kind of next year's squad, and there was a lot of guards this year, and there'll be even more next year. A lot of good guards like Akinjo, Kirk Kriesla. Jamal Baker's going to be back. KJ Simpson's going to be in that rotation, and hopefully we see Dalen Terry in that guard, rotation, which brings me kind of to my next point about, why I think that this, incoming recruiting class is going to be so nice. I think if Matherin, Akinjo, and Tabelis all kind of stay next season, I think they probably will. This team probably is going to be a preseason top 10, top 15 team next year. I mean, to Arizona fans, it may not have looked like it. It kind of felt like a frustrating and painful season, but this team, I mean, through all of the obstacles, through, all the season injuries, through all of the canceled games and the COVID protocols and the postseason cancellations, through all of that, they still went 17-9. So, this is definitely, it's definitely reasonable to say that this team will be the favorites to compete in the Pac-12 next year. I'm just super excited for this incoming recruiting class because I think, it complements this current team so well. This isn't one of these classes that, just comes in and just completely changes the scheme and kind of the way that this team is run. All 3 of these guys can really complement the dudes that are here now and really help out this team right now, right? I think the 3 guys, Shane Noel, Shane Dezzoni, and KJ Simpson, all add certain skills that go along really nicely with this team. My favorite prospect, I think, of this class is Shane Noel, just because, honestly, he's the brother of Washington basketball player Jalen Noel. He, in my eyes, is just the perfect small forward for this team. Just a big two-way player. He can get to the basket, and most importantly, he can play good defense with his big 6'5", 190 frame. So, I mean, he just adds so much to this team, and I think having him and Shane Dezzoni rotating through that 3 position it's going to do wonders for this squad. I think we're going to see it right away too. And I mentioned hopefully we see Dalen Terry more in the guard rotation, because I think having these two forwards now rotating through the forward position is going to be really great for Dalen Terry. I think we've talked about it before. You've said they're using Dalen Terry wrong, and I totally agree with you. I think he was a point guard in high school, right? Running the offense, getting buckets. I would love to see him do that at Arizona, and he's has a chance to do that now next season. With more depth at that wing position, because they really had no choice, right? With Dalen Terry and Benedict Mathurin, that's really all they had, size-wise, that can play the three positions. So now you bring in two more guys who can do that and help out Dalen Terry and help out the rest of the squad. I'm actually really hopeful for this team.
Yeah, and I really like you stole my thought. I really like Shane Noel. That's my guy too. I think he's gonna be a great fit to this team and add so many valuable different skill sets and set to this group. And another guy I just brought up, Terrell Brown, I said it a few weeks back, is James Akinjo. I think James Akinjo should, like when Sean Miller said he's going to talk to all the players, I think they should agree on a mutual, to part ways, and James Akinjo either finds like a way to play pro somewhere or to go play somewhere else in college. Because if Sean Miller's really focused on development and really focused on this youth of this team, it's to hand the keys over to Kirk Kriisa, and even hand the keys over to Kirk Kriisa and Dalen Terry, as they could start together and share that ball, because Kirk Kriisa showed he can handle the ball and he could play a little off ball. So I think that would be best for everybody. And I know James Akinjo scores a lot, this and that, but his last few games he shot at a high clip, but the majority of the season he's a low percentage shooter. He's not a great passer. He's not great at getting his teammates involved. He's not. You cannot say he's great at getting the players involved in that offense. He's basically playing street ball out there half the time, and I don't think he's the right guy for this group to let these guys grow. And another thing is, Sean Miller said after the Oregon loss is that they're going to bring back majority of the players, which they're not going to add a lot more extra guys to this recruiting class. They already have 3, as you just said, and there's not a lot of spots left. I would like to see them add a big. They just lost Ira Lee. Let's get a big in there that can maybe shoot, stretch the floor, and really add something, because it seems like they just have too many guards. And adding 3 more, that's too many. I know some of those guys, Sean Miller will try to play him at the wings, and we'll see how they could fit. But the reality is those 3 guys coming in, they basically played, guard, wing/guard, and there's just too many guys. There's not enough ball to go around. There's not enough minutes for all of these guys, and that's why I think that. I would predict that everyone would come back besides Terrell Brown, or maybe Akinjo. But that's why I suggest a guy like Akinjo or maybe Mathurin or maybe Tabellis would test the waters, just because they see that there's 3 guys coming back. It's just, I don't know how he's going to fit it all and make it all work. I really don't.
I don't know. I agree that they need to bring in a big, but I don't think getting rid of Akinjo is the move. I think he is really. I think he is, Arizona's most important player. He's been it this season, and Sean Miller has even said it. He's done wonders for this team. He said that this team could have easily been 500 if it wasn't for James Akinjo, and that's true. We've seen him take over the game and just single-handedly win the games for Arizona. And you said bring in let the younger guys kind of develop. James Akinjo I think he's got 3 years left on his eligibility. He is a younger guy. He's gonna be here for the future. So I don't know if booting him after just having the season that he had is really the move. And Kirk Kriisa, he only played 5 or 6 games or something like that. I think he's gonna be ready, but to start the season, I don't really know about. I just really like James Akinjo. I think he needs to be talked about more as a potential draft pick. Honestly, he's just that dude. He gets buckets. You say he's not a good passer, but he's averaging 5 assists a game. So he's doing it. So I don't know if I really.
When you have the ball in your hand 80% of the game, you're gonna have you got 5 assists. Wow, 5 assists. That's not that much.
Well, he's a point guard. He's gonna have
5 assists. And another thing is, I want to bring up against him, which I've said in the past. I have no problem with James Akinjo staying, and I think he actually would be better as a shooting guard. he's a scorer. As you just said, he's a bucket. He's the guy that's out there to just score, and I think he would be better like that. You just have him on the perimeter. He could hit spot up threes. He could drive. He's great at getting to the line. I mean, I think that's what he's best at. I think he could be an undersized shooting guard. I think that's where he fits best. And it's just, I mean, I just feel like the team isn't going to get to the next level with him. I mean, he scores 15 to 17, maybe 20 a game sometimes, but he's shooting 15 to 20 shots a game. I mean, give that to somebody else. I'm sure Mathurin, if you up Matherin's shooting by half of his shots and double that, I think he could score that a game next year.
I just look at it. I mean, what is the goal for Arizona? It's to win the Pac-12 and do well in the Pac-12 tournament or in the NCAA tournament. You're not going to do that without James Akinjo. This team is not going to do that without James Akinjo. I just really feel like he is. When this team wins and this team is at its peak, and we've seen this team at its best, it's when James Akinjo has had good games. He's the front and center of this offense, and I know I agree with you. I think he could be a good two guard, just scoring the bucket, but I just don't think intentionally moving him is the move. I think if they want to do what's best for his career and test the NBA waters, I don't know, but I just don't. I feel like forcing James Akinjo out of this team is. I wouldn't do it if I was the head coach. I just personally wouldn't do it. I think I just see too much value in James Akinjo. I just, like I said, I'll say it again. When this team has done well and we've seen this team at its peak, James Akinjo's had a good game and he's led the way. So I'm not really sure.
I believe that's because, like I said, the team's going to play better when he's playing well because he takes 75% of the shots, it seems like, when he's out there. I mean, that's credit to him. The one thing I'll give him credit is, where they run the shot clock down real low to the end, and he's the one who takes a shot. I give him credit for that because no one else wants to shoot the ball in this team. That's another thing with this team is he takes a lot of shots, but I mean, he is the guy that will shoot the ball because, when you got Dalen Terry out there and you got Tabellis on the three, won't shoot it sometimes. I mean, it's really tough, and that I will give him credit for.
Yeah.